In this video, I'm going to be sharing some tips and tricks on how to master the Peacekeeper. If you've been following this channel for a while, then you probably know the PK is arguably the weapon I'm the most dangerous with. And if you haven't, well, it's the weapon I'm arguably the most dangerous with. So big trust, I got you. And whether you're a controller gang or on M&K, I'm confident you'll pick something up from this video that you can apply to your game and get you hitting shots for more than 9 damage. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 1K subs. Appreciate all of you. Let's get into it. Alright, so first things first, you gotta get the appropriate weapon skin to truly excel with this gun in my opinion. If you've been playing this game for a while, then you know a lot is made about the pay-to-win Wingman iron sights and the pay-to-win R99 iron sights. Same way for the PK, but it's not talked about nearly enough. You have a couple of options. I run Old Blue, which is a recolor of the Lone Star, and I personally love these ones because it makes me feel like a cowboy. The other options are the Superstar and Northern Lights, and any of these work. It just comes down to personal preference. Like, look at this. What is this? Versus this. It's just better. The irons are tighter, it's less bulky, and it obstructs less of your field of view. You gotta trust me on this one. You'll hit more accurate shots. I promise. Tip number 2, you gotta aim down sights. I even came up with a mnemonic device for you guys. You gotta ADS to find success. But in all seriousness, the PK fires 11 pellets in a star pattern, and when the choke is active, the spread of the pellets is greatly reduced while aiming down sights. The Peacekeeper, in my opinion, is pretty different from every other shotty in the game. And to keep it a buck, I am not very good with any other shotgun, especially the EVA. I hate the EVA. And I say that because I'm trying to emphasize the point that your approach with this weapon has to be different from the others in its class. You should still definitely be comfortable hip firing this gun as well, but especially to my M&K players, you gotta get in the habit of aiming down sights more with this weapon specifically. That brings me to my next tip, patience. Patience is key to being truly dangerous with the Peacekeeper. The biggest error I see is people rushing their shots or getting flustered because they take some damage in a close quarters fight. Admittedly, I'm not the most patient player in fights, but when it comes to 1v1 engagements and I have a PK, I'm very patient. If I'm in a CQC engagement and my opponent is hitting me with whatever spray weapon they're crutching, I'm unfazed for the most part. All I'm focused on is lining up one fat pump shot for like 90 plus on them. That'll usually break their shield before they break mine, and now all the pressure is on them. There have been countless times where I'm getting aggroed by someone and I hit a PK shot or two, and they'll turn around and start running away. I don't know how many of you watch sports, but athletes often describe an experience of the game quote-unquote slowing down, and what they are really describing is their experience of being calm when the storm rages around them. At a certain point, the game will start slowing down for you. Just keep at it and be persistent. You will lose some 1v1s, but that's just some of the growing pains and part of the process. Alright, my next tip is to get up close and personal and get comfortable being uncomfortable. Before I get into it, I'll state the obvious. Yes, I'm on controller. Yes, I have aim assist. Yes, close quarters fights are easier for controller players than M&K players. Self-awareness. Look at me go. But yeah, if you're on M&K and watching this video, this applies to you. Most of my friends play on M&K with varying degrees of comfort in CQC fights, but you really got to build confidence in those situations and not shy away from them to truly excel with the PK. The closer you can get to your opponent, the better. You really got to invade their space. As a Bangalore main, I've played with hella people that are truly so discombobulated and uncomfortable when playing smoke or when I smoke poorly and obscure their vision. Navigating bank smoke is an acquired skill and has a skill gap, and the same idea applies here. If you're uncomfortable, you gotta believe that the enemy is also uncomfortable, and it's up to you to navigate that discomfort more proficiently in order to come out on top. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, moving on. This next tip is directly correlated with the previous, and that's that the Peacekeeper is a confidence gun. I know a lot of these tips I'm sharing with you aren't a lot of X's and O's and seem pretty abstract, but in my opinion, this weapon is 70% mental. Whenever I'm carrying a PK, I have supreme confidence and never feel like I'm gonna lose a 1v. It's all about mentality, and even if that seems illogical, that's the mentality you have to carry. But to break it down a little bit, what I mean by a quote-unquote confidence gun is that you have to land your first shot. I'll give you guys another sports analogy, and I apologize if you don't like sports, but please bear with me. If you're a basketball player and you're struggling to hit shots, a common strat is to try and draw a foul and get to the free throw line. Assuming you're a good free throw shooter, all it takes is seeing 1 or 2 shots go in to turn it around. I think that directly translates to hitting fat PK shots. If you hit 1, your confidence for hitting every successive shot increases exponentially. And I'd say in most cases, 2 missed shots equals losing the engagement. I'd probably advise you to switch to your primary if you miss 2 successive shots and not try going for a third. This one's a more tangible tip, and that's to predict your opponent's strafe. I think many people will look at their reticle or crosshairs when aiming, and that causes a delay in their reaction time. A pro tip I have is to start following your target with your eyes rather than focusing on your reticle. At least for me, that makes it easier to track movement. You can train this by going into the firing range, and instead of tracking the dummies with your right stick or mouse, just follow them with your eyes. Another common error is to track your opponent's movement with your right stick or with your mouse, but the easiest counter and easiest way to track is via mirror strafing, and you do this with directional movement, so left stick or S and D keys. For context, if your opponent goes left, you go right, and if your opponent goes right, you go left. It'll make your life so much easier in gunfights, and in most situations, you won't even need to move your right stick or mouse much, if at all. If you want a more in-depth guide on these ideas, I'd recommend checking out Soar Hollow, goated aimer. I'll link one of his aim guides in the description for you guys. This next tip is pretty straightforward and answers the question some of you may have. Where should I be aiming? Unlike other weapons where headshots are preferable, with the PK you should be aiming for center mass and not for the head. The goal is to give yourself the best chance to have all 11 pellets hit, so any extremities or the head by itself won't chunk your enemy for as much as if you hit them square in the chest. My literal thought process in engagements is I'm trying to shoot my opponent's heart. That's it. Pretty simple. I'm not going to get into all the damage metrics, and some may argue based off of data tables that headshots do more damage than body shots. But the goal of this video is to get you to a place where the Peacekeeper is hitting reliably for you. Trust me on this one. And a little bonus tip I have for you guys to help maximize consistently getting every pellet to hit. The only optic I'm willing to run on this gun is the HCOG. Personally, I don't love the digital thread on it because something feels off to me. This is something I'm currently practicing in the range because as a Bangalore main, I feel like it would serve me to get comfortable with it. But at this point, I only entertain running irons or the HCOG. Tip number 8 is that the Peacekeeper is a rhythm gun. Earlier in the video, I touched on the importance of landing your first shot on an opponent and the idea that if you miss 2 successive shots in a row, you're kind of putting yourself in a disastrous position. After landing 1 shot in an engagement, you start to develop a rhythm and flow for the rest of the gunfight. In my opinion, so much of being effective with the PK is about timing, making sure you're positioned correctly to be on time and on target for each shot, and your movement in between shots. And what's really important here is understanding and accounting for the reload animations. The PK obviously has the potential to be extremely unforgiving, and what I see a lot with players that are uncomfortable with it is that they are out of rhythm or out of sync. Over time and as you build confidence with it, you should start to understand its cadence. And literally, you could probably take a metronome and put it to any of my PK clips and every shot would be consistently in time, BPM dependent on bolt rarity. Food for thought. Alright, here's my final tip for you guys. Play Mad Maggie and run the PK. This is literally what I did to build confidence. I queued into arenas, picked Maggie, and ran the PK over and over and over again. Obviously, arenas is no longer in the game, but I'm telling you, it works. If I were you, I'd queue into some pub matches as Maggie, pick up a PK, then W key. With what our kit offers, it feels a lot more forgiving in my opinion, and makes practicing a lot more fun. If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you for watching. What drew me to get better with this gun is how swaggy it is, and what I love about it is how different players have different styles with how they use it. I shared my style and approach in this video, and I'm hoping it'll help you guys develop your own style. Let me know in the comments if these tips helped you, and I'll see you in the next one.